Hi, guys. Good morning. Good morning. I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to this focus activity with Seth and myself. We're just waiting for Seth because Seth is at another lesson and he should be joining us shortly. Meanwhile, let me introduce myself. My name is Angela, and I'm from a country called Nepal, a tiny little country located in Asia, in between India and China. So that's where I am originally from. I think I see Seth. Hi, Seth.
Hello, here I am.
Yeah. I haven't shared the slide, so I was wondering if I should do it or you.
Oh, I can do it, but it will take me just one moment, but I will
Okay,
do
so
it. No
meanwhile, we'll
problem.
just be introducing ourselves. Guys, whoever's here, please do introduce yourselves. Let us know where you're watching us from, where you're commenting from, and we would love you to participate in this focus activity, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're both teachers from the school in Meravili. You might know us, you might not. And we might have seen you on the webinars. Hi Giuseppe from Trieste.
Hello, you guys. Parma and Trieste.
Nice, from Parma.
Trieste
Simone from
and
Parma.
Parma. I love these cities. These are nice cities.
Oh, Eva. Hi. Hi, Eva.
Oh, the website is so slow. I'm trying to open this lesson.
Yeah.
It's taking forever. I'm getting there. Sorry.
No problem. No problem. Hi, Alessandra. Alessandra from Bologna. Monica. Hi, Monica.
Oh.
From Novara. Yeah, I remember Monica. I remember Monica. All right, great.
Okay. Got it.
Eva's from Napoli. Napoli.
There's that becoming.
Whoops.
Did you? The question to asking this weekend, Angela.
I lost you there for a second.
I think I lost you too. I asked if you did anything from home. Did you do anything this weekend?
Oh, no, but I cooked a lot at home. So, yeah, I didn't go out at all. I'm trying to avoid going out,
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we have a new
had,
rule here in Italy, in Milan at least, that we need to wear a mask, or at least we need to cover our faces, nose, mouth area. Yeah.
I don't have a mask though. I don't have an actual mask, but I think you can. I read you can just use a scarf or something.
Yeah,
but
you
I
can.
don't have a mask. So
Yeah.
But
yeah, the other day I went to the pharmacy like last week, and they sold me 2 masks. You know, those disposable masks, but they were €7. It was a lot, I think. Yeah, the paper masks. You know what I mean? This disposable paper
for
masks.
just like the basic.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and they were allowed to sell me just two pieces, and that was it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Wow. But no, I'm like you. I'm just trying not to go out at all. I think it's been more than 3 weeks, I think, since I've taken the trash outside, but to do that, I don't even really have to leave my building, so it's just underneath. But
yeah.
Anyway, so, oh, sorry, you are waiting for me to do this?
Yes.
There it is. Okay. Sorry, I'm waiting for you and you're waiting for me. And
Yes.
It's
What about
Monday
you
morning.
guys?
It's
Yeah,
Monday morning. It's a slow
exactly.
start.
Exactly. So tell us, guys, what have you been doing? Okay, these days, what have you been following the decree? Have you actually been staying home, or have you just gone out for that little casual walk that many people seem to be doing? Let us
I need
know.
to take
Okay.
one of those walks. It's been a long time.
Oh no, Seth, don't do it, because if you get caught, it's a problem then. I mean, just
It
stay
is. It's
home.
true.
Just stay
It's
home.
easier. It's better.
Do some stretching at home,
Okay.
and yeah,
Yeah,
stay home.
that's what I've started doing.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to
Yep.
read for us what we're doing today?
Yes, absolutely. So, when in Rome is the topic, describing etiquette and models, and we're going to be writing advice. Yeah, we're going to write it down in the comments section. Normally in school, we'd ask you to do it on a piece of paper, but here we can write it
Yeah.
down in the comments section. Okay.
Do you know also, Angela, what is this? So when in Rome, that's sort of an expression we have in
Yeah.
English. Do you,
Hmm.
what does it
Yeah.
mean when we say when in Rome?
So when in Rome, do as the Romans do is the longer version of that um, idiom, or let's say a proverb. It just means that you do what the people do. You follow the culture, you follow the etiquette, the rules of wherever you are. Okay, so it just
Yeah.
means just try to blend in when you are in a different culture,
Yeah,
different place. So, oh, Giuseppe,
exactly. Cool.
yeah, Giuseppe says you can't use a napkin or a handkerchief. Very nice word there. Seth, I don't have a mask either. I think Nager was a typo for sure.
Neither, but I
Mhm.
don't have a mask either. I
Either
don't
or
have a mask
neither.
either. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
As you can see, Seth and me, we pronounce things differently, because in English, he's from the States. I grew up in a more British institute. My school was very much related to the British school. So we
Mhm.
have a slight, we have very different accents, and we
Yeah.
also pronounce things a little differently, but in English, the fluidity is there. Okay. Eva says that she buys a mask for 15 euros. Oh Lord,
That's a lot.
that's a
Yeah.
lot. Talking about masks, Seth, I have to tell you that in Nepal, whenever I go back
Mhm.
home, the first thing my mother gives me is a mask. Okay, so
Really?
yeah, because we wear masks. I mean, throughout the year, because of the
Okay.
pollution. More than the pollution in Nepal, it's more about the dust, especially after the earthquake.
Okay.
There are lots of there's a lot of construction and so on.
Mhm.
So masks for us are a very normal thing, unlike here
Okay.
in Italy. And obviously, I know the price of masks. So yes, 7-15 euros for a mask. Disposable mask is really, it's really expensive. But I guess, because we are in such times, I
Mhm.
guess it's kind of justifying it at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my country, we never we don't wear masks. We don't have that as part of the culture at all.
Mhm.
Um, in bigger cities, usually, I mean, in the United States, we don't, yeah, we don't wear them. And usually, if we see someone with one, it's usually an Asian. And so Americans have this idea that Asians wear masks, but we don't know why because we don't wear them. And um,
Yeah,
so when I lived in China, though, of course, I would
absolutely
usually there it's for the pollution, and
true.
I had masks with weird like valves inside. I don't know if they help or not with pollution, but um,
Stylish.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
well, how about we have a little chat about these about etiquette,
Proper etiquette.
proper etiquette.
Hmm.
Americans are not usually very. We don't have the best etiquette, I don't think, but
Well, it
but
depends.
I think the British. The British are
Yeah.
very proper, but
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah. Well, do you want to read the first one for
Yep.
us and tell
Absolutely.
us what you think?
What is etiquette? Where do we learn etiquette and manners? Okay, so etiquette is. Do you use the same word in Italian? Is
um, I don't
it?
think that they do because an etiquette.
It sounds
They
very
have
French
that
to
word,
me.
but
Mm,
yeah, well, we definitely, but in Italian they do have it. So it's like your manners, right? Your
yeah,
comportment.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
Monica's written something down. She says etiquette when you can recognize special, particular
I don't
manners,
quite.
maybe.
Yeah, I think that, and it can be. I think it has other meanings in Italian that it doesn't have in
Ah,
English.
okay.
Um, because in English, when we think of etiquette, it's really only
Manners,
how we,
conduct
yeah,
ourselves.
it's how
Yeah.
we act.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's it.
That's all.
But I think, where do we learn them? We learn them from our parents, school.
Hmm.
I think that's probably when we're children, especially, no,
Yep.
from our
Absolutely.
parents or from school.
Yeah. A lot
Um,
of that.
mhm.
I also did some etiquette classes when I was at my old job. So
Did you?
yeah,
Yeah,
so a
you would
lot of
need to for sure.
table manners. You're talking about fine dining etiquette.
Mhm.
You're talking about how to pour a cup of tea, things like that. Very small things, but it's so interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. But that's going into more detail. But etiquette in general, as Seth says, is more like how you conduct yourself, the manners, and what you learn from your parents and from school.
Mhm.
Absolutely, this is what etiquette means. Okay, use
Yeah,
and culture.
yeah. So I
Yep.
think now, Monica, yeah.
So
So we learn them by doing it. Our culture teaches us our etiquette. Giuseppe's given a nice
we're both clicking.
definition. Yeah, I'll stop. I'll let you do it.
Okay.
Etiquette, etiquette is the rules that we should follow when we speak and eat. Yeah, every situation has
Yep.
etiquette,
As
really. So
exactly.
all the
I
rules of.
remember. Yeah, I remember that. I remember some of my colleagues also had to do a training on phone etiquette.
Mhm.
Okay, so you have these things. So everything, yeah, everything included.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say from, I think, Monica. I
Yeah.
learned and probably learned I learned etiquette and manners from my family, school, and work.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ava says it's a general way of having good habits, a general way of acting.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it
um,
means.
Second
Number
one.
two. Ooh. Do you think people are well mannered in your country, Seth? In what
So
ways?
I would say, in
Hmm.
general, in the United States, um, I think every culture you could say yes and no, but
Absolutely.
um, I do think that Americans in general are friendly people. So, like, in general, an American will help you, especially if you're for Americans tend to. I mean, I don't. Well, again, like, I'm being very broad and general the way I answer, but if people can help you, I think that they will try.
Hmm.
When we're taught when we're children to say please and thank you. That's like
Hmm.
beginning etiquette.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, when we're talking like general manners, like,
Hmm.
holding a door in public, or saying please and thank you, I think Americans have that. If we're talking about, like, in the picture, like proper etiquette, like dining etiquette, very more refined, then I
Hmm.
don't think a lot of Americans are. um, like I know a lot of people, like if they sit at a table with many forks and spoons, like a very
Mm,
formal dinner setting,
mm,
I don't think some Americans would know what to do.
mhm, mhm.
Um, I would, because my mom and my dad taught me, but um, but in like a general civility towards others, I think Americans have. But
Okay, nice. So,
before you answer, let's look at
yeah.
these two we have so we don't fall behind.
Okay,
So
good.
Simone or Giuseppe says, I think that Italians should have better manners sometimes. We're too spontaneous.
Spontaneous. Oh.
Giuseppe, what do you mean by I don't you're s- uh spontaneous gets used a little differently in English. What do you mean by spontaneous? Because
Mm-hmm.
spontaneous in English means they do things without
Without
like,
thinking or,
but
just
I
at the
don't think
spur of the moment.
yeah.
Mm.
And then Simona asks, can you have good manners without following etiquette? Um,
Yeah, I think, well, although manners and etiquette are so closely related, manners would be talking about things in general. And I think
mhm,
etiquette would be more particular, a particular
to a
manner.
situation.
Yeah, to a
Yeah.
situation. Yeah. So you can have general good manners. And sometimes in particular situations, while basically are displaying good manners, you could be following the general etiquette too.
Hmm.
So let's see, maybe we can frame it this way. Let's say that etiquette is more, you know specific to that situation, all right,
Yeah.
and manners would be more in general. All right, so
Yeah.
maybe
Because
etiquette can fall under the heading of manners.
yeah, I would agree. Because like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, about an airplane again. Like Angela used to
Mm-hmm.
work in the airlines, and so
Mm-hmm.
if a person is going on an airplane for the first time, you don't
Mm.
know the etiquette of an airplane. But if you have good manners, probably you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But maybe you'll do something, and maybe someone will say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that," but you
Yeah.
learn. But it's
Mm-hmm.
true that I'm thinking, like when I went to China, I lived in China for 3 years, and the culture is very, very different. But in my culture, I have good manners, and so when I went to restaurants and things in China, I was fine. I learned what to do, and after 3 years, I knew Chinese restaurant etiquette, but
Absolutely.
I never embarrassed myself or did something bad. So I would agree with you. Etiquette is kind of like
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit more specific to a situation, whereas manners are just a general word. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Monica says depends. In general, yes, Italian people are well mannered.
I would agree.
Yeah, I would agree to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Eva, she says maybe sometimes we are a little bit uncivilized. No, I don't think so. I think Italians, you know, I mean, one of the oldest civilizations coming from the Roman Empire and so on. I don't think that we can say that the Italians are uncivilized. No, we've seen worse, right, Seth?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You guys, a
Um,
few times I've seen from a few of you, remember that without takes the gerund, without following, without
mhm,
being,
mhm.
without plus ing. That's just a grammar thing. Remember
Yeah,
that without wants the gerund.
yeah, yeah. Monica's said, Simone, in my opinion, yes, you can have good manners without following etiquette. Eva says you have to know the rules, but you can decide whether
To
to
follow.
follow them or not. Okay.
And then
Simona.
Simona says he disagrees. Oh, okay.
All right.
Heated discussion this morning.
Yes, yes, good. All right. So this is about etiquette. So yeah, I'm very particular as you know, table etiquette, phone etiquette, because some people, they don't really speak very well on the phone. They might be
It's
really,
true.
really polite in real life, but sometimes, like, okay, without even a bye, or when they're messaging, while you're messaging without
Mhm.
saying bye, they leave the conversation, things like that. So these all fall under etiquette.
Yeah,
All right, let's move on to number 3.
sure.
What examples of bad manners do you often see? Ouch.
I immediately think, like, Angela and I both live in Milan, and I immediately think, because most days, well, when we're not in quarantine, when I'm going to work in the morning, I take the metro during rush
Mhm.
hour, and in my opinion of etiquette, I see very bad manners on the metro, like doors opening and people not going into the they step onto the metro and they stop, and
Oh
there are
yeah.
10 people behind them
Oh
that
yes.
also need, or the opposite, where I'm in the metro and I want to get out,
And people
and
stand
when we
at
arrive
the
at the
doors.
stop, yeah, and the doors open and people don't move. And then when you say, excuse me, permesso, permesso, they look at you, and I think, well, you're the one who's standing in the door. I'm, get out of the
Yeah,
way.
that is the
So,
problem here. Yeah, that is one of the things I've always wondered. I mean, yeah, so you have to like
and
literally elbow your way out, or
yeah,
I mean, otherwise you're not going to get to work because people are just
yeah.
there blocking your door. Yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's
I've
that's a
I've
little strange.
noticed, like, in a difference. This isn't necessarily etiquette, just it would be, I think, just a different sense of manners from one
Hmm.
country to the next. But
Hmm.
like in the United States, we really, United States people like to make lines. People
Hmm.
wait in line very, very well. We're taught
Mm.
from the time we are children to wait in, if there's a line, to make a nice straight line. And Italians don't have the same concept of line as my culture. It's not wrong, it's just different.
It's different.
And there are times when I go to places like, like if I have to go to the questura or the post office or something, it's difficult to know where to wait because there's no line. And in
Hmm.
my culture, there would be a very clearly defined line. And from what I understand, the Germans are even more line. But
More into their lines. Yeah, good. All right.
yeah,
So
yeah,
Monica says that sometimes there isn't respect towards older people, which is very
yeah.
strange, Monica, because I have noticed here in Italy that they are very respectful to their elders. What do you think, Seth? I mean, I see a lot of respect to the elders, but I don't know, because I mean, my world here in Milan is very limited. It's to work and
Mhm.
back home, my daughter's school. So, but I don't know how it is. Okay, but what I've seen is just the
Mhm.
limited part. Oh yeah, as Giuseppe says, as Seth said earlier, bad manners in queues.
Yeah.
Monica says, for example, yeah, in buses, younger people often don't give their seat to
Let
the
Yeah.
seniors. Okay,
And I wrote a comment. So, Monica, we need to either say they don't give their seat to the seniors or they don't
don't let
let
the
the seniors
seniors
sit.
sit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, well, fortunately for me, I have seen that the senior citizens do get seats on the I usually take the tram, so I think that is one thing that I've noticed here in Milan. I don't know if you've noticed that, Seth, that as soon
I
as the
mean, I've
seniors
seen,
get in, I see that. I mean, it could be somebody middle aged or younger. They do get up for the seniors, and
in
I
general,
really
I
like.
see, but sometimes, of course, there are people who don't,
I
but in
mean, yeah,
general,
there is one odd person.
But I've had the opposite happen actually on my bus. I think I must live on a bus, the bus that I take to go to work. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if just the older people are angry. I don't know, but it's happened to me several times where
Uh-huh.
I get up. I understand. Okay, if I'm sitting in the seat that should be for older people, and if I see an older person, I get up. But
Mm-hmm.
it's happened to me before where people come in there like they're yelling at me before I even know that they're there. One
Mm-hmm.
time I was
Oh.
sitting,
Uh-huh.
and this person started yelling at me like, "Excuse me,
Oh
this
my
is
God.
for you cannot sit here. What are you?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm sitting and I'm reading a book. If you ask me kindly, and it's not that I'm not paying attention, but the
Mm.
person was behind me, they got, and
Mm.
but I know that that's a
Oh no.
reaction because they are maybe used to not being accommodated. But and then I
Oh.
yelled back at that person. I was like, they were calling me, you're so rude. You don't think about anyone. And I said, no, excuse me. You don't talk to people like this,
Did you have
like,
this exchange in Italian?
yeah, because I
Oh
said, "Sir,
Lord.
like, I am happy to get up for you, but you just got on the bus and you were behind me. I didn't
Mm.
see you. If you ask me, please don't presume that everyone is trying to be rude, like, come on." But,
Mm.
oh, so Antonio has written something pretty
Lord.
big here. What does he say?
Oh,
Taking
that's
taking the met
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, our
Oh,
internet is
terrible.
bad today. It's making me
Terrible.
annoyed.
What is Antonio, right? Again. It's making now because they hate it when it's okay. So Antonio Di Paolo says taking metro, everything is the boss fight you need to win for surviving. Oh, nice. That's the first teaching parents gave to their children. Yeah. Is this? Am I understanding what he's trying to say? So basically, it's the survival of the fittest.
Oh,
Is
he
it
said, "Is the
daily
daily
bad?
battle." Thank you.
Okay,
I
thank you.
was
Now
like,
I thought it was a
"Antonio, I'm not
bottle fight. Like
following this." Yeah.
yeah, I thought like you break a bottle and you fight like the way they do in Nepal. Okay, but okay, so a daily battle. So taking a metro every day is a daily battle. You need to win to survive. That's the first lesson your parents.
Thing, first lesson,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So the first thing your parents teach you. Oh Lord, no, I don't think that's true. That's funny though, Antonio. Giuseppe says sometimes very rude behavior with cashiers. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
probably. Yeah. But you know,
This is
guys,
a thing that
yeah.
Mhm. Go ahead.
So sorry, Seth, but you know the cultures are so different. Well, I don't know about what it's like outside Milan. I've only been to Venice and like Tuscany, where they're very very accommodating to tourists and so on. And of course, Milan is a very cosmopolitan city, so I haven't really seen too much of the aggressive side, I think. Um, but I have traveled the world, and because, as some of you might know, I was a flight attendant for 14 years. So I have crisscrossed around the world, and I have basically lived almost in most parts of the world, let's say. And for a major part of my life, I lived in the Middle East. So if I had to compare the Middle East to Italy, I mean, Italy is like, I mean, there's a huge difference. I don't want to diss any country or any parts of the world, but Italy, I would say, at least in Milan, that people are more cultured and they do believe in being polite and so on. So I don't know. I don't
Mm.
know. Maybe Seth, you come from a more civilized part of the world, so maybe you think that you have a different view, and maybe I have a different view. I would say. I
Well,
don't know.
in my country, in the United States, in in a service situation, so like in a restaurant or the cashier at a grocery store, if the cashier was rude to the person would ask for the manager. We have a completely different system of that in the United States. I'm often very surprised. I like Italy. I live here and I don't want to leave. So obviously it's not that I like Italians are good people. It's a different culture. But my parents, for example, when they come to visit, are always very surprised in the grocery store. We go to the supermarket and the cashier doesn't talk to you in Italy in general.
No.
Usually what happens is you arrive, when you get there, they say sacchetto. That's the first thing, right? But in America, they would say, hello, do you need a bag today? They would say these things,
How are you doing
and
today?
how are you doing? And it's not good. It's not bad. It's different. But the thing I find in Italy, though, is if you attempt to talk to the cashier, usually they will talk back. Usually but they don't. In my country, though, if the person doesn't say hello, how are you, thank you, goodbye, people will complain. Sometimes I think America has this too high expectation of politeness. And it's, but yeah, I don't know. It's different. Even restaurants, in the United States, while you're eating, your waitress comes back, the waiter or waitress comes back to check on you. Sometimes it's too much, where you're just like, can you leave us alone, please? We just want to eat our dinner. Go away.
Exactly.
But it's just different cultures, different
different
ideas of service.
Also, you have to remember that the customer service standards in the US, it's really high because there's money involved, of course.
There's money involved.
Yeah.
There's a tip.
There's a tip at the end of every service. So obviously, your server, the waitress or waiter wants to give you the best service so that she or he can have a good tip, so a good percentage of the money. So the service is really, really good, I have to say. Sometimes, as you say, Seth, a little bit too much, because you're just having you're just drinking, having some soup, and they keep coming, and then your second course they keep coming, and you're like, okay, I'm trying to have a conversation.
How's your
here.
Dinner? How's your water? You're like, it was fine until you came. Go away.
It's but I mean. But in customer service school, which I went to, this is what they teach you. I mean, so they're just basically doing their jobs. And so this is what it is. Different cultures. Nice. Okay, so Giuseppe agrees with you, Seth, and he says, I totally agree with Seth. Just ask in the correct way and be kind. Absolutely. If you ask politely, things can get done. And Antonio says, trust me, I live in Rome. I love Rome. I love
Rome too. But it's true that the bus and the metro in Rome can be quite difficult. In Berlin Underground, there is not a ticket machine. That's one of the biggest differences with Italy. Everyone pays. So in Berlin, I've been in other cities too and this too, it becomes culture as well, but I've been in some cities where to enter the metro, there is no machine. But there's a goodwill, there's a trust that people are buying their tickets, but in some cultures, people do buy their tickets. And so in Italy, I think you see a lot of people in Milan, you see a lot of people jumping the turnstiles and things. But then if you think of New York, to get out of the subway in New York, it's like a cage. If you don't have a ticket, you're not getting in and you're not getting out. Because in New York, people would not pay all over.
Yeah.
So and Giuseppe talked about the tipping. America is a tipping culture for sure. Goodness, we tip for everything. So
oh God. And it's so confusing because you have the different rates. You have okay, and you're like, what should I do? Like,
It's
uh,
true.
yeah,
Oops.
it's like you're forced
I'm
to
going to move on because yeah,
about that
we've been talking on
forever.
that slide. So, these are some kind of just interesting things about some different cultures.
Hmm.
Do you want to read the
Hmm.
first one?
Yes, absolutely. In Canada and the United States, it is normal for people to smile often. Even at strangers, you don't have to smile at others, but it could be considered rude if you don't smile back at someone. Yep, I
So
know.
that is absolutely true.
Yep.
If you don't smile at someone, it's fine. But if someone smiles at you first, you should smile back. And if you don't, probably after you pass that person, they're going to turn to their friend and say, "Gosh, that person is so mean. They didn't even smile at me."
Yeah,
If someone
true.
smiles at you in America, we smile back.
True.
Or even just
Absolutely.
a little head
Yeah.
nod.
Yeah. Yeah. Just,
That's
yeah.
definitely
And
true.
also, if it's your neighbor, you would say hi, hello, somebody you've never
Mhm.
seen, but you're in the same building. Whoops. We've
That
lost
usually
the
fixes
material.
itself.
Okay. Yeah.
In in Nepal, is there a culture of smiling at people that you don't know as a way to say hello, to sort of greet them?
No, no, we don't.
No.
We only smile at people we know. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, it could be,
Uh,
it could be misinterpreted. So in Nepal, actually, normally, I mean, if you're talking about, the real culture, women, we don't even look at men. Excuse me. I mean, it's a very old culture. It doesn't happen these days, but in the past we didn't look at people in their eyes, because it was considered being disrespectful. Yeah, so when I
mhm.
actually started work and moving around in the western part of the world, it was quite difficult for me to actually look at people in the eyes and talk to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another one. I'll read
I
this one for us. So in England,
Oops.
you mustn't
Okay.
stare at people in the street, as this could be considered rude or impolite behavior. In my country too, staring, we don't. To stare
Yeah,
at
no,
people is not,
stare is
I think
horrible.
most cultures.
Yeah,
And
it's aggressive.
staring, maybe we should, what is staring? Staring is when you look at someone for too long, when you keep looking at them. In Italy
Passive
too, I don't think
aggressive.
you
Yeah.
stare at people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Monica
look,
says, I don't
uh,
know, in Italy, there are many offices where you can ask information. It's probably for the previous slide.
everything else, yeah.
In Italy is the same in general. When I meet new people, I say, hello, my name is, welcome. Okay.
But this, Monica, this thing about Canada and the United States about uh, smiling, this is not in a store. This is when we are walking on the street. If I
Yeah.
pass a person that I don't know, I
Mhm.
smile at them. And I do it in Italy because it's normal for me. And in Milan, I smile at everyone, and a lot of people give me a weird look. I think they think I'm either crazy or they
Cuckoo.
think that I'm gonna do something to them. But
Like
for
serial
me, it's
killer.
normal,
Uh-huh.
especially like because, and this I think also has to do with the United States, but like especially on the bus, the people at my bus stop, I recognize these people. I get on the bus with them every single day, and in my
Brilliant.
mind, they're my neighbors. And in
Uh-huh.
America, we have this idea of community and neighbor. So like at my bus stop, there's one woman in particular. I really think she thinks I'm crazy. I don't go out of my way. I don't go, but when I smile at her every single morning, and she has never smiled at me, but I will continue to smile at her.
She thinks you're hitting on her, my dear. You better be
I
careful.
know she's like my grandma, but every morning I'm like, smile at me. We're neighbors. I know what building she lives in. I see her come out of the building.
Up.
No, but
She doesn't want to
yeah, we
smile.
smile a lot.
It's too early in the morning for smiles. Okay, so
maybe
Eva says, I
some.
agree. A smile can achieve much more. Absolutely. There's nothing a smile hasn't been able to achieve. Great. Let's move on.
Yeah. Do you want to read this
Yep,
one about
absolutely.
tipping?
Yeah, in North America, it is customary to leave a tip at a restaurant. You must leave a minimum of 15% of the bill. You could leave a smaller amount, but only if the service was very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And Giuseppe says,
Totally
keep
true.
smiling at her, Seth. Keep smiling. Yeah, until she breaks, you know?
I'll get
Keep
that
quiet.
smile.
Yeah, oh
I'll
my
get
God,
that
my
smile.
daughter is making so much noise. Oh,
What do you mean,
wait.
Antonio's smiling at the
Yeah, exactly.
setbacks? What
Is
are the
considered rude.
setbacks,
What are the
Antonio?
setbacks?
I
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't understand the word that you've used. Smiling
me
at
neither.
somebody? Maybe it's just a typo. Maybe the phone. Smiling at
Ah,
somebody.
is considered
Um,
rude. If you don't know the person and you smile at that person, especially it maybe from male to female ratio, like you think that tangency could be weird because in Nepal, that could be a little weird if a man is smiling at a woman. I don't know.
sure.
It could be like he's trying to hit on her. It's,
Hmm.
it's, it's strange.
I find that in Italy, usually if I want to, like Italians will talk quite easily, like I said. So if if I'm on the bus, and the other thing I've noticed about Italians, a way to create conversation is to complain about something. So like if you're on the bus and everyone is upset, but if you say to someone like, "Oh, all these people today," then you're good, and then you'll talk.
So you have a common
Yeah,
enemy. Okay.
if you use, or if it's the summertime and the bus is really really hot and it's full of people and everyone is hot and uncomfortable, and you say to someone, here you are on the bus, and if you turn to someone and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they don't have air conditioning," you make a friend.
Good. Okay. So yeah, good way to start a conversation. Right.
um
Nice. Do we have another one?
yeah, this is I'll
Mhm.
read this one. So in Canada, you
Mhm.
mustn't ask about religion or politics. Canadians consider these topics as very private matters. Asking about these topics could make them feel uncomfortable or awkward.
Hmm.
My mother is from Canada, so I've spent a lot of time in Canada, and my mother's family is from the French part of Canada, and it might still, because the language, it might be culturally a little bit different, but I do think that in general this is true. The Canadians don't want to, even in English culture in America, we tend to say not to talk about religion and politics, but the
But we
Canadians in
do.
particular really try to avoid. Yeah. They're
Okay.
just so I
Yes.
understood Italian culture. Let's complain together
Oh
and we'll
yes.
be
Let's
happy.
complain all day.
Uh,
And we'll be happy. Andiamo. Yeah.
in English, we have an expression. We say "misery loves company,"
Oh yeah.
um,
I was just thinking about
which
that. Yeah.
yeah, which is exactly that idea that when we're unhappy, it's
Mm.
very easy to find other
Hmm.
people, and if we complain together, usually we're okay. So
Yeah. You know.
mi- misery loves company.
Yeah. Psychological in this case, right? Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what we want to look at real quick, part of this
Hmm.
lesson is the grammar part. We'll do super fast because we're having a nice conversation. But just for you guys at home, to get a good grammar review, we have modal verbs, right?
Yep.
Don't have to. Do is an interesting one because it means you can do it if you want, but there's no
Hmm.
obligation. So you're not obligated to smile, but if someone
Yep.
smiles at you, then you are obligated to smile back. Must, so must and mustn't is just varies that you should do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could like an option, right?
Yeah. You
A
could do it, and
possibility.
you don't. Yeah.
So yeah. Um,
Hmm.
I think now they actually we don't have a lot of time to get into the. I
Mm-hmm.
think the rest are things about writing. Maybe just with the
Yeah.
last few minutes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going quickly because the writing part of our,
Just
and
the
we're not going
writing
to do
part.
that
Yeah.
because we don't have.
Mm-hmm. We don't
um,
really have
do
much
you think
time.
I
So,
have a question
Monica.
for you though?
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just quickly read what Monica has to say. In Italy, we don't usually give
We don't
tips at the restaurant.
usually.
Uh-huh. For example, instead, abroad they use. Okay, they do. Yes, you're
They do.
right. Yeah, they do. So
Yeah.
restaurants, okay, you don't tip, and yep. In the
Goodness, in the
US,
United States, we tip for
yeah,
everything.
yeah. In the US, you need
Even
to
getting
tip
your
for
hair
everything.
cut.
Yeah.
Rid of
And
our
if you
lesson. I
go,
think it's
yeah,
slowing things down.
and Seth, have you noticed that in the US, when you go shopping, right, you see a price tag, and then you go to the cashier to pay, and you pay a little bit more because you don't have the tax added,
No.
on the price tag, so you have to pay. So that confuses me a lot because the price is, the tax is different from state to state. So it's like, oh my God, I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Everything you buy costs more than the price
Yeah.
tag. And then the hard part
Yeah.
is when you buy, because it's a percentage, so if you buy
Mhm.
something expensive, uh the
Yeah,
tax can be a lot, can be a whole
true.
lot.
Yeah.
I remember once buying a computer, and the computer was $1,000 computer, which is like a normal. I mean, but the taxes were, when I got the final bill, it was like 1,200. It was a lot more. I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah,
so,
exactly. This is what
so
happens. I
that's
always
true.
get fooled.
Do you think, because you've lived in lots of different countries, what is
Yeah.
there any particular situation something that really surprised you from any of the, maybe a moment where you did something, a faux pas, something? Do you have any stories, anything?
Yeah, I did. In I think it was in Iran. When you give the thumbs up like this. Do you know
Yeah.
this one, Seth?
I think it's really bad, isn't it?
It's really bad. It's like, doing this.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
But
what do you
yeah,
do then,
yeah.
So yeah, that in the Middle East, you can't sit, in a relaxed position with your feet up, because the soles of your shoes should not face another person, because like they'll come up to you and they'll tell you like, oh,
In China
you're being
also,
rude to
yeah.
me. Yeah.
Showing someone the bottom of your shoes is considered rude.
Mm-hmm.
So Antonio says in Italy, we would have to say not letting a person finish, not letting someone finish
Mm-hmm.
is considered rude. When someone
Mm-hmm.
does that to me, I usually tell them, "Oh, am I sorry? Did the middle of my sentence?" Well, to me, that's also a little bit forceful, Antonio. But
Antonio, you're the best.
I think in many cultures, interrupting is usually considered rude. Giuseppe
Yeah.
has an interesting question about tipping. We can finish with this. He asked, what
Yep.
about if you're not happy with your service? Can you decide not to give a tip? And in the United States, the answer to that is yes, you can. However, tipping has become such, especially in a restaurant. I remember one time my dad and we were in a restaurant, and the service was really bad. The girl, our waitress, we never got our drinks. We didn't receive things that we ordered. When the bill came, there were things that we had ordered, but they never came. Um, and we had complained many times. And so my dad left $1, which was a sign of a bad tip, because I think our bill was like $80, and he left one, which is a sign of, yeah, this was bad. And she followed us out of the restaurant and was demanding more money because of how hard she was working. And it was, I
Yeah.
remember my dad, I was like mortified. I was so embarrassed, but it's because this girl, she was yelling. She was like, she was mad, and she was waving this dollar in front of my dad, and my dad took it and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I must have left that on the table." But so Giuseppe, the short answer is yes. If you don't leave a tip, it's a sign that you're unhappy, but some people will come after you.
Yeah.
Not always. It depends on the restaurant, but um, most people would probably already know that they were doing a bad job. But anyways, it's time for us to stop.
Yes, it's time for us to stop, and that's a wrap.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you for
for,
joining us. Yeah.
yeah, and quite active
Yeah.
comments today. So thank you
Yeah.
to all of you, and have a really great day, and have a good continued quarantine.
Yeah. See you
See
all
you guys
soon. Bye,
later.
guys.
Bye.